Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Forgotten Generation podcast with your host, Troy. With me today is a person very familiar to this show who was featured on the podcast before, who has been part of the special episodes from last year's Black History Month and Iowa Week 24. For those who haven't listened to them, please go and check them out. But I'm pleased to welcome Monya, who was an Iowa ambassador and a UK Parliament Youth Select and a youth activist. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, I'm Monya. I'm so excited to be back. I think this is my third episode. I'm 18 and I'm from Northern Ireland. I'm really passionate about making a difference for young people, and as Troy mentioned, I'm a member of Youth Parliament for North Antrim. I also represent Northern Ireland in the Youth Select Committee, and I'm an Iowa ambassador. And I'm just really passionate about pushing for change and just making sure that young people are heard.
It's so good to have you today.
Thank you. So glad to be back.
Lovely to have you back. And so, what is your social action?
So my social action really focuses on empowering young people to make a difference. I've got to be really lucky to be a member of the youth parliament. So I've got to meet really like-minded young people in Warwick, for example, for our annual conference. I've got to talk to really important people who I know could really enable us as young people to make a difference. And I've just been feeling really empowered in decision-making processes. I've been able to campaign for Votes at 16 in our Northern Ireland campaign. And with that, it's given us some really great opportunities. For example, a few weeks ago, we got to meet with the Northern Irish Secretary of State and just working to get young people make sure their voices are heard. On the Youth Select Committee, we've recently been working on an inquiry about the connection between youth violence and social media. And we've got to be in Parliament, meet really important people, and just knowing that our work and our desire to change is going to go somewhere has been really cool. And through I Will, I've really just been working on projects to help break down barriers for young people so more young people can get involved in social action. And I've just met a variety of young people from so many different backgrounds. And it's just cool to know people who are out there like you who are just really passionate about making a difference.
Wow, it's just so amazing. I want you to said about how you want to connect to on different young people like you and like myself who really wants to have that voice and really want to make
Yeah.
that change. What made you inspired to make a difference and to want to get to where you are today?
Growing up, I just felt like young people weren't really taken seriously. And as a Sudanese person living in Northern Ireland, I really felt underrepresented sometimes, so I wanted to change that. I think what inspired me a lot was, like I said earlier, meeting a lot of other passionate young people in my different campaigns I've been working on in youth groups. Like especially I Will, I think that's what pops out at me the most. Especially, with the residentials they host, your meetings with your other local ambassadors, even podcasts like this. It just shows me how powerful our voices can be when we come together. Yeah, I would say just wanting to be the representation you didn't get to see when you were younger. And also seeing what other people who are younger up to, it just really inspires you to get up and do something.
Absolutely. It's like honestly made me inspired already by listening to you on that. And it's so so empowering. And so you I'm touching about the I Will movement. And so are you part of any other organizations and that has very much made you who you are today?
Definitely, I think just throughout this journey, as I join different groups and take part in different activities and meet other young people, it definitely shapes you as you go and just as you meet other people. So with Youth Parliament, I got to meet a lot of like-minded people and the other members in our conference, our annual conference. We got to debate, just really practice democracy and just talk politics with other young people who you can tell are really passionate about making a difference. We got to debate on our manifesto, and it was really cool to see other young people get to hear their opinions and just know that you can share what you think without being judged because we're all just wanting the best for young people. And we are actually working on a manifesto and we get to bring it in to the House of Commons in February, I think. And it's just really exciting
Wow.
to know that. I know it's great. And it's just knowing that you get given a space really for young people with such a huge audience, and you can make a difference. With Votes of 16, we got to work on our campaigns, and what I love about our group in Northern Ireland is that this campaign is youth-led, and a lot of the people in the campaign are 16 and 17 or even younger, and they're not given the right to vote, so they're really lobbying for that. Even with Votes at 16, we recently got to meet the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, and we really got to hear answers. So with the Labour government, for example, they stated they wanted to make Votes at 16 a thing, but it wasn't really clear. Was that in England or was that UK-wide? What's the timeline with this? So we really got to hear answers. Yes, it is implemented in Northern Ireland or planning to be. We got to hear about timeline, who we should be lobbying with, and it was really cool to just, again, have a space for young people. With the Youth Select Committee, we're currently working on an inquiry, which is, of course, youth-led. There's 12 young people, and we're all each representing a certain area from the UK. So the diversity is incredible. And we're tackling the connection between youth violence and social media. And it's just great because we've got to host panels in Parliament where we get to hear different perspectives on this, whether that's from people in social media companies, research, youth charities, people who are tackling youth violence, people here in the government, and it's just great to hear, you're being taken seriously and we're working on something that's so important. And like I mentioned earlier with I Will, it's just giving you a chance to network with young people, create really strong friendships, and just create action plans. So even with I Will, we've got to opportunity for the Northern Irish members to work on a partnership with the youth advisory and create an action plan to kind of stop barriers and for people to understand what kind of barriers for social action come with young people, whether that's trying to balance your school life with social action or getting there, and it's just great. Sorry, I feel like I rambled there.
I know it's completely okay, and honestly, I just loved how you talked about it. It's just so amazing. Like, there's so many things that you've done that really resonates with you, and the organization that you work with really empower you to have that voice. And so, why do you actually think that on politics should be spoken more and the issues that young people are facing? And so, what do you think are the issues actually?
I just think that to a lot of young people, automatically when they hear about politics, they want to switch off. It's boring. They'll think, what's that to do with us? And honestly, I understand their viewpoint because it doesn't feel really accessible or interesting to us because the way it's, marketed to us, people don't take young people as seriously as they should in politics, when in reality, politics is something that affects all of us in honestly so many ways of life, but it's just seen as boring or out of reach. And I think it should be spoken about more because we definitely need to change that because young people are facing so much, such as the mental health challenges and how schools should be more accommodating with that, work jobs, inequality in different areas of life, even the climate crisis, which I know a lot of young people nowadays are getting more, I would say, impactful or passionate about, which is so important and it's really inspiring to see. And I just think that we deserve to be a part of the conversation about creating these solutions because when you think of a lot of the people who are so passionate about it, it is young people who are in the center of all of that. And I just think that politics gives us a way to make that happen. And it's just really important for young people to be in the center of that.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree with that. I think that issues that we face very much link into the politics
Yeah, for sure.
and what the decision makers are making actually affects us young people. And do you think that the government needs to do more better in understanding young people's needs and understanding the education system and the cost of living crisis and all the issues that young people are actually facing nowadays?
100%, yeah.
I do want to see like a better change, and do you want to like go to like one of the MPs and be like, here's this and this what needs to happen? I do think we need to do more of that. I do think organizations need to be more aware of young people's struggles.
100%. And I think they should really do more to just encourage young people to reach out, like you said, to their MPs, to other political leaders that are local or even not local. Just, I think it's just made to seem something that's so scary and big to us as young people. And people need to do better to make it seem more accessible to us. Because otherwise, how are we gonna know to reach out?
And exactly. I think that needs to be a very big solution, not a weakness.
Yeah, for sure.
And so what would be your advice to like on professionals and government actually listening to young people, and what would you want them to do better?
Oh, that's a great question. Of course, listening to us is the first step, and I see so many organizations and people in power getting better at that. So I'd have to say to that is don't just listen to us, because while that's the first step, I think what they also need to do is take action based on what we say. Create spaces for us where we do feel comfortable sharing our ideas, our issues, whether that's, local in our areas or whether that's UK wide. And I just think, and for them to follow through on that as well, because sometimes you just know when you're talking to someone in power. It's happened to me so many times talking to different MPs, and you're talking to them and you're being really passionate about your problems you're facing as young people, and you can tell it's very performative. They're just not long listening. But what are you really going to do once we leave? So I think it's important to meet us where we are as well and make it more accessible. You know, whether that's in schools, come to us. I think a lot of politicians should definitely be doing that, or MPs. Come to school, set a time where young people can come and talk to you. Or even if that's online meetings or youth centres, I think is such an important way, just so it's easier for us to get involved as young people.
Exactly. And I honestly think we need to like and make them actually come to those on schools and do talks actually and get some people to have our
Yeah,
and because if you want literally things to work, then actually and getting us and people to talk to you actually makes it more better.
agreed.
And so and has there been any like on challenges that you've faced as a youth activist and all the things you've done?
Challenges I faced, I would probably say just getting your voice heard. I know with the different organizations we work with, they do really good at making young people the center and getting heard. But sometimes when you're on your own and you're trying to reach out to an MP, a politician, or just someone who's important, it's so hard to make sure you're getting listened to seriously. It's definitely happened to me with local MPs, even with my school when I'm trying to create, a new club or something that would just be really beneficial for young people to get their voice heard or just to create spaces for young people, like extracurriculars. Definitely, it's just getting your voice heard as well, I would say, because we're at the edge where, you're young, there's so much in your life going on. It's probably so hard to time manage that and really just split up your time because, you've got your social life. A lot of people are doing, education, and just balancing social activism with that can be really hard sometimes because, of course, you're really passionate about it, but sometimes it can be that much harder to fit it in. I would also say for certain events, even just travel and getting there. I would say over here, especially for us, because a lot of people are living in rural areas, and we just need to do better in making it more accessible for a variety of people.
I absolutely agree. Honestly, our challenges that you actually face actually affects, myself and others who actually
Yeah,
like we sometimes don't get listened to because maybe our professionals don't listen or because we don't get listened to because we're a young person. But actually everyone's unique in so many different ways, and like
exactly.
because like everyone like deserves to have that voice.
100%. I would also say even the stereotypes we face as well would be a massive challenge. As young people, people don't take you seriously. You don't know what you're doing. You don't have enough experience, is what they would assume. But also, I think as a person of color, which you would agree with, the
Yeah.
stereotypes we face, people wouldn't understand why we're a part of these spaces. They might not take us seriously. And I just think that's an issue that really needs to be addressed.
I absolutely agree. I think honestly, government needs to take that to account and actually,
Yes.
um, I was out thinking how we can make things better for young people who actually and go through the stereotypes and how we can make it.
Yes, going through with it, 100%.
Yes, exactly. And literally, how can we get more like and better maybe in schools to do more lessons in that? And so, what would you say to a young person that's wanting to and get involved in youth social action and to have a voice but doesn't know how to?
Really, I would say just go for it. Just find something that you're passionate about, whether that's the environment and climate change, whether that's politics. Find whatever you're passionate in and look for groups or campaigns that really align with that. And I think for a lot of young people, the easiest way to start is within school. Hopefully, your school will be different societies or clubs, and I think that's the first step. Or even reaching out online. I think online you can find so many great opportunities. If it's not as accessible for you to do things in person, you can do things with groups, online like this, for example, finding I Will, this podcast. It's so easy just through social media. And I know it can feel really intimidating at first, but there's definitely so many people out there who'll support and encourage you because I understand how starting out can be so scary. But I think for young people, don't listen to the stereotypes. You are experienced, you are okay to speak out on these things because your voice matters. And even small actions can make a big difference because a lot of people don't think, I'm not doing enough, this isn't big enough. But no, even small actions do make a big difference at the end.
Exactly. And it's so true. I just love what you said about that. How actually, and it really very much resonated with me actually because of like when I started out and I didn't know what I was doing. And I didn't know if and I think you very much mentioned about the I will have I will movement made you very much have that voice and the other things you've done
For sure.
and literally gave opportunities. And I think that's what organizations should do more for young people. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so what would be a Forgotten Generation podcast quote to sum up your social action journey?
definitely something about young people. I'd say that change starts with us because when young people lead, I think it's just something so inspiring and our voices are really powerful. So I would say, yeah, together we can shape the future. That would be my quote.
Love that quote. It's like absolutely amazing. I thank you so much for coming on today's episode.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Please support the podcast by subscribing and rating the podcast. I'd love to hear what you like and what could be better for future episodes. If you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram and I will Troy and also on X I will _Troy. Tune in to next week's episode.